Hey everybody, this is Damon, your instructor for A&P, and I thought I would post a video kind of demonstrating some of my tactics and strategies that I try to pass on to students for doing well in the class. I've had a couple of you asking for some additional help, which is totally cool. It's a hard class, and so this does start to get to some of the harder stuff, muscles and now nervous system. So I'm going to show you a couple of things that I've put together that I would recommend you do. They go right along with what I suggested in my earlier emails and postings at the beginning of the class, but maybe now is the time to actually see them in action and kind of listen and say, oh, you know what, tell me more about that stuff you were saying, or show me what you mean. So I'm sitting here with the central nervous system lecture video called up on my laptop, and I sat through the first 3 slides and listened to it and looked at it. And I wanted to show you the notes that I wrote, because that can be one step, is to just say, am I taking notes in a way that's effective? The beauty of the videos is you can pause them and think and go back if you need to. So this is kind of what I came up with for the first 3 slides of content. So I'm over here. So I'm a big fan of outlines because they help you see what belongs with what else. So I've got it titled Central Nervous System, as you see, and then I labeled it page 1 of my Central Nervous System notes as well. I'm going to show you how that comes in handy in just a little bit. And then I saw a big topic as being organization and function for these first couple of slides. So I got down that what is the function of the nervous system? It helps maintain internal homeostasis. The slide indicated that it works along with the endocrine system to do that. And then I noticed that while they do work together, there is a difference to them. I kind of put a little asterisk there to say, hey, pay attention, here's a difference between them. So you probably have notes on this and have gone through the video. So I'm not going to go through word for word what it says, but just so you kind of see maybe the depth or the level of notes I took on all of this. So this is just 1 page worth, and like I said, it represents 3 of the content slides from the lecture video for the central nervous system. I've got things, indented and labeled underneath. So this letter A and B belong to the peripheral nervous system. I can tell because I indented it. So I see there are 2 major breakdowns of that, or subdivisions. Then within things like sensory and motor, I could have numbered and lettered these as well, but I've just got them indented. What they are, and then even this got broken down, the visceral motor division, into the sympathetic and parasympathetic. And then sometimes I ran out of space, so I wrote a little note off to the side. But that's kind of how I would do notes, and kind of modeling it for you, the depth of detail that I would do. So where the page number comes in handy. Okay, so you watch the video, you listen. I would recommend you go through these videos daily. They don't take long. I think this one's 12.5 minutes. But certainly take the notes the first time through. Think about it. Look at your notes as you go through the next couple of days. But what I do next is I always tell my students, you have to do something now with these notes. Sitting and watching and listening and writing down are a huge part of studying, but they're not nearly enough for most students. So now you have to say, well, what else can I do? Just read these ad nauseum over and over again and assume that it's getting retained? No, that's not usually going to do it for anybody. You have to engage with these notes. You have to do something with them now. And what could you do? So the reason I numbered this as a page, this is a strong recommendation I give to all of my students, is then I had a second page, a follow-up page. Right? And so I'm revealing it little by little here. It's called Central Nervous System page 1, so I know this second sheet of paper goes with this page of notes. And then take a look at what I did. I read through my notes, and I decided that there were questions whose answers were in my notes that just were waiting to be written. So because on my page of notes, I wrote down the function of the central nervous system is to maintain internal homeostasis, I decided that might make a good test question. What is the function of the nervous system? And I left it open-ended. Then I noticed the next big topic in my notes is that there's a difference. While they work together, the nervous and endocrine work differently. The nervous system uses electricity, and so it can maintain homeostasis more quickly. The endocrine system uses hormones that circulate in the blood, which helps it maintain homeostasis in a more gradual and regular way. So I thought that was important. How are the nervous and endocrine systems different? Open-ended, I must answer that myself. On and on. Which type of neurons detect stimulation and report it to the CNS? So look at, I even did a couple different styles. I did one where it was just fill in the blank, right? So I came up with all sorts of these questions, all that came to me from that one page of notes. Okay, so you might say, okay, I'm not a test writer though. Why would I spend my time doing what you're going to do, which is me? I'm the one who crafts the test. So why should you try to write yourself a test? The beauty of this is it will get to the heart. If you write a lot of these like I did, it'll get to the heart of your anxiety of how do I know when I'm ready? How do I know if I know this stuff? I'm going to put this aside for a second. What most of us did, and some people do still when we study, is we sit with our answers or our notes sitting in front of us. We stare at them the night before the test. We nod our heads up and down. Yes, I know this. I remember writing this. I should be good. But the test never allows you to have this sitting open in front of you to ask what you know from your memory. And so if you never test your memory, you'll never know until the day of the test what you remember and what you don't. So try to probe your memory before the test actually happens. And so what I do is I'm going to change this. I'm going to turn this page over with my questions, and I am going to hide the answers from my eyes so I don't cheat. Now I go through, and with a pencil in hand, I try to verbally answer these questions. And when I'm done, I can check. I don't check in the middle of a question. I check when I'm finished. If I don't feel I got it right, or I didn't remember the answer, then I can put a little dot by the ones that I struggled with. And I know now I need to go back and read a little bit more and think a little bit more about those topics. Later, I try again. If I seem to have it quite strongly, I erase that dot and say, today I mastered that. Tomorrow, I go through the same questions to see if I can reinforce it. This is just one page of notes with one page of corollary questions that I've written. But this is what some of my most successful students do. It's that amount of work. They take nice, good, robust notes, and every page that they've written, they write, 12, 15, 20 questions that are coming from here that could make good test questions, and they force themselves to answer them. So that's one suggestion, a very strong one that I have for you if you'd like to do better, is to do this kind of a thing. Make yourself tons of practice questions and see what you know and what you don't know, and then work on the things you don't. Another thing I did was, as I went along farther into this slideshow, I tried to again figure out how can I engage with my notes. And I decided that in the case of the meninges of the central nervous system, it's very categorical. There are 3 layers. And so I just hand drew a table. And I said, what should I know about the meninges? I should know the names of the 3 layers to it. I should know how they relate to each other, who's outermost, who's middle, who's innermost. And then what should I know about them? What did the slideshow tell me was important? And so this is a table I have yet to fill in from my notes, but it's a second time of writing it. See, I wrote the notes first, and then I create this, and I say, now I'm going to transfer my writing into a visual form called a concept map. And that will help me remember better if I make this. I don't want to have one printed off already. I want to be the one who creates it. Another thing I did was I figured out that the anatomy of the spinal cord seemed to be important in the slides. And so I'm no artist at all, but I thought, why don't I know the picture is already labeled and drawn for me on the slide, but maybe if I draw it, I'll remember it better. So I drew a simple version of the spinal cord cross-section, right? And I used different colors to help me kind of see things that are similar. And then beyond just labeling things, I did do that, but I also took my notes and applied them to the picture, and I placed the information under each thing that I labeled, right? So that I've written it twice now, once in my notes and once on this picture, and I had to think, where should that go? What should my arrow be pointing to? And what's important to know about it, right? So sometimes if you're okay with doodling and cartoony stuff, sometimes drawing things in anatomy and labeling and describing with those labels can also really help you master things. So those are a couple of ideas that I would give you going forward that would work for all of our modules as we progress. So I hope that's helpful. There is nothing magical, there's nothing simple about learning anatomy. There's no magic tool to say just do this and it will come to you. It is a lot of hard work and time. But these are some better strategies than just sitting with a notebook open in front of you and just thinking that by reading it multiple times you'll get it. That doesn't always work for people. So these are some things you can do to help you learn this stuff better. So I'm going to post this, and if you have any further questions, by all means let me know, and I will hope to talk to you and interact with you soon. Thanks, you guys. Good luck.